little something to show you. When I was squirting stuff through all the little ports, I noticed something. Well, I seen that little dark line right there, and that's your inlet for your fuel line. And when I stuck it in here, see it? Oh yeah, squirts right out the back. Oh yeah, see that? That's not good. What that'll end up doing is that'll suck air and aerate the fuel real bad, and it won't quite run right. So, what are my options? Could buy a new carb. Really don't want to do that. Or if I don't have to, I could see if I have another carb that has one of these plastic inlets on it. See if I can get it pulled off and transfer it over to this one. That's another option. Done that a few times. I don't think I actually have one of those. I do try to save them, but I don't come across too many of them. I'm going to need that. Alright. What else could I do? Well, there is this stuff that is an adhesive that is fuel resistant. That is a possibility. And I use that stuff on my 028 chainsaw because the fuel tank right at the seam leaks pretty bad. And I thought I had coated it enough on the inside to seal it completely, but I didn't get up in there high enough. And I don't know if I can get up high enough. I was hoping I could just seal the tank that way and be fine, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. I think I'll eventually just have to get a lower body for it, which is the fuel tank area. But this stuff here, it's called Seal All, and it is made just for this stuff. Gas and oil resistant. So it's a type of contact adhesive and sealant. Works really nice. We could have cleaned this up real good. We could scuff it up to give that something to bite onto. And see how easy that came off? And we could try to do a repair on that, but I would still like to see if I can find one of these somewhere. I got a whole box of old carburetors that I keep just for this kind of thing. So let's see if I can find that first, and we'll go from there. my box. Handy dandy old carburetors from old equipment. Some of that equipment is probably older than I am. Some of these carburetors probably are. I keep bits and pieces of certain things. Never know when you might need it or need something off of it. Some of this stuff is so old, like this piece, this here. Good possibility I just throw all that away. Matter of fact, let's do it now. Take one more look. Yeah, we can throw that away. Intake block with a itty bitty hole there. Nothing's that small anymore. So here, look at that. One of the biggest things I do like to save, and I got a box just for it, is all the hardware off of this small stuff. You run across a missing bolt on a lot of this small equipment all the time. Boy, look how tiny that bore is. You think it's that big, but it's not. Look way down in there. See how tiny that hole is. There. Itty bitty. I bet I could barely get a pencil through there. Switches. Keep your switches. Not the kind your mama beat you with either. You can throw them away. Alright. I'll probably throw most of this away too, like that little thing there. Ain't no need keeping that. I'll keep all the hardware out of this. Nothing there. It looks like I robbed one of the adjustment screws out of that for something at one time. Looks like most of this stuff here is going to have the metal type fuel inlets and stuff. So we might be able to look. We might not be able to find what we need or what we're looking for. There's one other spot I could check, but I'm pretty sure it's not there either. So, yep. Well, can't say we didn't try. Alrighty. Couldn't help us out this time. But I did go through some different carburetors and found some other options. So I got this 90 that I could take off and install on that. I have this straight that I could probably get to work if needed. And this one's actually a little bit bigger than this piece here. And this one is just undersize of of this piece here. So what I've got to do, and I've already mangled it a little bit, but this is the piece, and this would normally be round, not flat, that this piece will clip onto, and you're able to move it in whatever direction you need it in, basically. And this piece you're able to take out. I've already got it worked out that far. I will finish taking it out. Basically, just grab a hold of it good with a pair of pliers, maybe a pair of vice grips or something like that. This one was actually tough to get started. I didn't want to break free at first. This is probably the toughest one I've come across. But just wiggle it back and forth and pull. And there you go. And these are basically press fit. We're going to take a measurement. We're at 15.95 or 0.1595, I should say. And let's see what we have here. Actually, this 90 right here is a hair bigger, and we should be able to use that one. And that one there is a hair small. Alright, so we're going to do the same thing with this. We're going to grab a hold of this and we're going to wiggle it back and forth until it breaks free, and then wiggle it out. And then we'll have something that we could put in this one, and that'll be a permanent repair and no more of this plastic junk. Alright, let me work on getting that piece out of there. Again, there's nothing fancy about it. You grab a hold of it, you twist it, it'll pop, it'll break free from the housing, and you're able to wiggle it back and forth and pull at the same time. If you use vice grips, make sure you don't crush it. You just need enough pressure to hold on to it. There we go. It started moving. Yep. And this is an old Stihl carburetor off of a Stihl chainsaw, I do believe. What I think I might do is add some heat to this body. That might loosen it up a little bit more. That's what I ended up having to do with this one here. Add a little bit of heat to it, and it finally popped loose. Alright. Just about got it out. There we go. So I did have to add a little bit of heat to it, and then I cooled it down real quick with water, and that seems to loosen everything up pretty good. That's how I did the original carburetor to get that little piece out. Is I heated it up, and then I went and cooled it down with the water, and then I grabbed a hold of it. It came out a lot easier. There's still a little bit of resistance there, but all right. So we have our piece. So that wants to start. We'll do some cleanup on this here. It's got a little edge here. A little bit of a lip, I feel, right about there. The diameter of our stem, our new fuel inlet, is quite a bit larger than the hole here. So I have gone through and found a drill bit that's just a hair smaller than our fuel inlet. And we're going to go ahead and drill this out just a little bit. Then we'll clean everything up real good. Bring you guys over here so you can see. Just take your time. Go nice and slow. That drill bit's going to want to pull itself right through real quick. So you'll have to resist that. And go in as straight as possible. You already got a pilot hole, so that should help you out. Clean your shavings off. That didn't take much. See? I barely had the drill turning. I paid attention. I felt it's trying to pull itself through real hard. Excuse me. So I resisted that pull. And looks like we did a pretty good job at doing what we need to do. Clean it out real good. Yep, I think that'll do it. Yep, I think that'll do it. And for this particular setup, and it might not be the same for you, is I used a number 20 drill bit, and that is a .161. And I got one of those large drill indexes that has the fractions, letters, and numbers. Again, another Harbor Freight tool that I bought years ago. Love it. The number drill bits work. I've used a lot of those to do things like this. They seem to be the one that you want for stuff like that. I also bought my my tap and die kit from Harbor Freight, probably. I don't know, it's been here for 15, probably 20 some years ago. I don't even think I'm working any of it yet. So it's a decent price compared to some of the higher name brands that were ridiculously expensive. And for the stuff that I do, it works great. You might need that ridiculously expensive tap and die kit for other things like machine work or tapping in new holes and thick metals and things like that. But I don't do that, so I don't need nothing like that. All right. Very handy. If you don't have a pair, get a pair. This particular pair is all stainless steel, made by General, Ultratech. It's a stainless steel set, so you don't have to worry about it rusting. I've had this for quite a while too. I've got started off with
with a dial type years ago. I think I got this, I think AutoZone, I'm not positive, but OEM. The old school dial type is how I started off. Got myself a digital, and it does standard, two types of standards, so fraction and decimal, and then it does metric. We're going to apply a little bit of the seal all. Has a lubricant and a backup sealant. You don't need a lot. You don't want it getting inside. Just spread a little bit on there. Then we're going to work on getting this pushed in there and into the direction that we need it to be in. Just take your time. Don't over tighten your vice grips. Just push it in and twist at the same time. That should be deep enough. There we go. Voila. There was pretty good resistance, but not so much I couldn't get it pushed in. And I took it and backed it up with a little bit of seal oil. This will be a permanent fix forever. We'll let that sit like that for a little while. Let that set up and cure. And we have made our repair to the carburetor. We're just letting it cure up. So right now, while I'm waiting for that to happen, I'm going to do the rebuild, get this thing back together. I've already installed the new screen. And getting ready to put the cover back on. And it's just a plastic cover, and your threads are just aluminum, so you don't need to kill it. Just snug it up good. All right. All right, so I've got a new needle valve. Got that out of my handy dandy carburetor spare parts box. Right. So drop your spring in here and be careful, because it will take off on you and you'll never find it. And this one sits down in there a little bit. A little more difficult to get it in there without it wanting to bounce around on you. There we go. Taking my finger, holding everything in while I snug that screw up. Before cranking down on it, make sure everything works like it's supposed to. And it does. Make sure everything is in the position it should be in. So on this one here, might be hard to show you guys, but the end of that lever there needs to be flush with this part of the body, right in there, not with the mating surface of the gasket. And this one is flush with the inner part of the body. So now we can install our new gasket, or not gasket, but our diaphragm and our gasket. So no, this is not the actual gasket, but it will work because all the bolt holes line up. If you feel more comfortable with shaving off the stuff that's not needed, you go right ahead, and you may have to because it might be in the way of something. Same goes with this. It's the same bolt pattern. It has the same centerpiece there. It has these two little holes, right? No big deal. It'll work. So let's just do that, right? Let's just do it. We're gonna nip off those two little right there because they're not needed. You know, sometimes you work with what you have, because what you have will get you back running now. Not 2 days later, not 3 days later, not a week later. It's the typical times that you have to wait for Amazon, eBay, or whoever, right? There. Now it looks like the one that's supposed to go on it, right? You don't have to, but you may want to. Heck, let's do it with the diaphragm too. Boom. Not needed. We'll take some extra steps. Look at that. All those holes line right up. Man, I don't believe my eyes. Lines up nice. Want to work perfectly. So if you've ever wondered about that little hole on the back side of the cover of your diaphragm, one, its main reason there is for atmospheric pressure to be able to move in and out between the cover and the diaphragm, because the motor, per the pulse, and we'll use this old cylinder here for an example. Oop. Oh boy. So there's your pulse. That's the hole for your pulse. That leads down to the bottom of your piston and to the crank area. So as the bottom of the piston moves up and down, it creates vacuum pressure, vacuum pressure, vacuum pressure, right? When it does that, it takes that diaphragm and allows it to move just like this. And when it does that, it opens and closes that needle valve, allowing fuel to come in and then closes it off. Allows fuel to come in and then closes it off. The other thing that this can also be used for, and if you ever took notice or paid attention when you pulled it off the machine, a lot of these are pointing downward. Matter of fact, I want to say all of them are pointing downward, so that if the diaphragm or anything like that gets a leak in it, it'll weep out this hole. If you have it facing upward, this whole area will fill up with fuel until it starts to weep out the hole. But if you have it facing downward on the tool, then it'll drip out of there and you'll notice a leak or something like that. Right? So we know that this carb will get oriented just like that. So I want to put that weep hole down here. Down here where the throttle cable and all would be, or now we can put our screws in. All right, our carb is back together. I just want to give this a little bit of time to cure. We'll be able to stick that bad boy back on there and give this thing a test run. Our donor carb is a carb off of a Stihl chainsaw. So I'm not a Tecumseh fan. Never had much luck with them. Seemed like you're always working on them. Now it's got a steel part on it. Maybe it'll run better. I like Still, but I'm a Husqvarna fan. Alright, we can put our carb back in our little goodie bag of carbs. Ready? Let's see how long it takes for that to cure. Let's do some reading. I roll my tubes up as they start to go empty. Instructions. That's Spanish. I can't read that. There we go. Test small area before use. Apply direct to each surface to be bonded or repaired. Allowed to cure 1 to 2 minutes before mating surfaces. Full cure 2 to 6 hours. Okay. So just like you do contact cement, you apply it on both sides. Let it tack up a minute, and then you put them together. And then it has what I say, 2 to 6 hours of cure time. So it'll be later this afternoon. We can put that back together and not have to worry about the fuel bothering it any.